Happy Monday morning. I hope you had a great Mother's Day. We had a great time. The food trucks were a huge hit. Service was awesome. Pastor Jason and his wife did a great job. And here we're getting ready for Monday morning encouragement. How do you get ready for encouragement? We sing. And there's a lot of good reasons to sing. And so that's exactly what we're going to do. Let's listen. Let's turn up the volume. Let's sing along when we can. Let's sing.
And I've searched the world, but it couldn't fill me. And man's empty praise and treasures of fame are never enough. You came along and put me back together, and every desire is now satisfied here in your love. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing is better than you. Well, I'm not afraid to show you my weakness, my failures and flaws. Lord, you've seen them all, but you still call me friend. 'Cause the God of the mountain is the God of the valley, and there's no place your mercy and grace won't find me again. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing is better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing is better than you. You turn mourning to dancing, you give beauty from ashes, you turn shame into glory. You're the only one who can. You turn graves into gardens, you turn bones into armies, you turn seas into highways. 'Cause you're the only one who can. You're the only one who can. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing is better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing is better than you. 'Cause you turn graves into gardens, you turn bones into armies, you turn seas into highways. Oh, you're the only one who can. You're the only one who can. 'Cause you're the only one who can. 'Cause there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's Nothing is better than you.
It's so good to sing. So great to start this Monday just getting our hearts right, our minds right, singing. And so I want to share a little bit from the One Year Bible. The One Year Bible is a place where I every day listen to God, hear what's going on in my life. And today, the One Year Bible reading really spoke to me. And this is just my thoughts. So as I share my thoughts, maybe you can share the thoughts in your own heart. Maybe you can relate to some of the things that I share. We start out as we read about in 1 Samuel, we read about the new king selected. His name was Saul. The thing that they said about Saul was he was like a hero. He was head and shoulders taller than everyone else, and he was big and strong, and he was really pretty humble to start with, and God gave him some great victories right off the bat. And so now as their new king, he's leading. And I just want to say this lesson here is about leadership. And I think about how God calls me to be a leader. And I also think God calls every one of us to lead in our own realm. Whether you're leading a family, you're leading a business, leading a team, or just leading yourself. And here's Saul, who's the new king. He's trying to lead the people of Israel, and something really tough happens. They get into a really bad spot where the Philistines, which were his enemies, they've mustered an army of 30,000 chariots in verse 5. And this is in today's reading. And as many warriors as the grain of the sands of the seashore. So in other words, they were outnumbered with an amazing army that surrounded them. And here's what this next verse says. The men of Israel saw they were in a tight spot. And because they were hard pressed by the enemies, they tried to hide in caves. So what was happening, Saul and all of his army and all of his own strength, his army was running. They were escaping. They were leaking out. They didn't want to fight because they were so outnumbered. And Saul, day by day, was losing more and more people. But he was told that he needed to wait for God. Can I just say this? This is the hardest lesson that all of us have. Learning to be patient. Boy, if there's ever something that we're learning in this coronavirus time, is learning to be patient. It's not in my timing. It's not, I mean, it doesn't matter whether we agree or don't agree. It is what it is. And the patience of all this is just killer. And so I mean, we all are learning to be patient. And here was Saul. He was told he needed to wait for God. But instead, he jumped ahead of God. He did a burnt offering and had all of this thing. And Samuel came to him and told him that he'd been disobedient to God. Now, here was the other interesting thing. And in the end of this chapter, it says there were no blacksmiths in the land of Israel in those days. The Philistines wouldn't allow them for fear that the Hebrews would make swords and spears. So on the day of the battle that this took place, none of the people of Israel had a sword or a spear except for Saul and Jonathan. So can you imagine facing 30,000 charioteers and army as many as the sands of the seashore, all fully equipped, and all you have is two swords? You're just so outnumbered. You know, it's in those moments that you can't put your trust in your own strength. And today, this Monday, this is for me. I feel a little outnumbered today. Sometimes through this coronavirus time, I felt really outnumbered, and I felt really desperate for God. And I've asked God's help and wisdom in the decisions we make every day, and being patient, and all the things that we're doing, and trying to complete a project at Woodinville, and trying to buy a piece of land in Lake Stevens, and trying to do the best we can in Mill Creek. And then now we have a brand new online audience. It's just growing by the day. And the decisions we have to make, sometimes I feel like Saul, who's in a battle with two swords against 30,000 and many, many more that are fully equipped. And here's what I know. The only way I'm going to make it is with God's help. And I'm going to share that with you too. The only way we're going to make it. You know what Saul did? Saul chose not to trust in God. He chose to trust in his own strength. And he had a huge crash. And that day, God decided that Saul would not be the leader of his future. And so Saul said on that day that a new king would be established in Israel. That king's name would be David, which I think is really interesting. Because in this same daily reading, listen to what Psalms 108 says, which is a psalm of David. Here's what David said. My heart is confident in you, O God. No wonder I can sing praises with all of my heart. Here's David, who actually had a lot of equipment and had a big army and all this, but here's where his confidence was. It was in God. And today, I'm convinced that if we don't have confidence in God, we can't know the peace that we need in our heart every day. He goes on and he says this, David says this, I will thank you, Lord, among all the people. I will sing praises of all the nation. For your unfailing love is higher than the heavens, and your faithfulness reaches to the clouds. Be exalted, O God, above the highest heavens. May your glory shine over all the earth. Now rescue your beloved people. Answer and save us by your power. Oh, please help us against our enemies, for all of our human help is useless. With God's help, we will do mighty things, for he will trample down our foes. Here's David, who in spite of all of his limitations and in all of his strength, he didn't trust in his strengths, he didn't trust in his weakness, he didn't trust in anything except God. And he said, as a statement of faith that says, with God's strength, we will do mighty things. You know what I'm convinced today? That if we have the patience to wait for God, if we listen to God in our life, his strength will give us exactly what we need. So I've been making these lists every day. This is no different. Let me just go over a couple of those things. I always try and turn over the things that I can't control to God. And for me, here's some things that I'm struggling with. This Sunday, we're gonna do a drive-in service. And there are so many details and so many things we're trying to get right and all this sort of stuff. And we hope that people will come. It's going to be awesome. We're doing a 10:30 drive-in service. And I think Brian's going to do a Woodinville drive-in service. And James is going to pick up the 9 o'clock slot. And the Lake Stevens folks are going to have their own drive-in service. And here's what I can't control. I can't control how well that's going to work. And what it's going to be like. It just seems so out of control. I have to give that to God. I can't control how the finances right now. For me, there's so much uncertainty in our financial world. There's so much uncertainty at the church and in all of our lives. And if I look at all those things, I can become fearful. And I just can't control it. I have to give that to God. I can't control timing. I wish I was in charge of those decisions, when we open up, when we close, what we do, what's allowed, what's not. I'm not. I can't control that. And I can't control the mistakes we're going to make through all this time, doing our best. We're still going to make mistakes. And I can't control those who are going to be hurt through this time with the coronavirus. But here's what I can control. I can control my attitude. I can control my outlook. I can be optimistic. I can control my faith. I don't have to be afraid. I can starve my fears and feed my faith. And I can be generous. I can give what I have, not what I don't have. I can make a difference. And I believe God's going to put someone in my life today to make a difference. So the things that I'm thanking God for, I'm thankful we can meet together this Sunday. We're going to have a great time with whoever comes. I'm just thankful that I get to see people I haven't seen for a long time. I'm so pumped about it. I'm thankful we have a great plan. We have a great staff to carry it out. I'm thankful for the peace that God's given me in my heart. And I'm thankful for my partner in ministry and my partner, my COVID partner, who's a great mom, had a great Mother's Day. I'm thankful for all the family I have in ministry and all the good work that God is doing in them and through them. I'm thankful for the great Mother's Day we had, and I'm thankful for you. And I want to remind you that God causes all things to work together for good to those that love him. I love him today. I hope you love him today. If you don't, start loving him right now.